Israel is facing fresh political turmoil after the largest party in the country's parliament, Kadima, quit the coalition government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The disagreement was over the drafting of ultra-orthodox Jews into the army and comes at a sensitive time for the Israeli government. RT's Paula Slayer explains.
At the current moment, the status quo is such that religious Jews do not serve in the IDF compared to the majority of secular Israelis who serve at least 2 to 3 years. Now, when the Kadima party joined Netanyahu's government little more than 2 months ago, its rallying call at the time was that it was going to put an end to this exemption. But the two sides have failed to reach agreement over the drafting of new legislation. It could trigger the withdrawal of other political parties. It makes Netanyahu that much more vulnerable to pressure from far right-wing political groupings and the religious parties. And at the same time, it also no longer allows him to claim that he presides over a government of national unity, because he certainly doesn't. It is making him that much more weaker, both domestically and internationally. And it comes at a time when Israel is trying to deal with its worsening public image in light of a number of issues, not least of all the social protests this past weekend that saw an Israeli setting himself on fire. And this has provoked anger and frustration throughout the country, certainly also in the international community. There is the possibility that the government might have to go for early elections. The question being asked is, why did Netanyahu not foresee this development? And if indeed he did, why did he choose to ignore it? Because it comes at such a vulnerable time. It comes at a time when the country is having to deal with very unstable neighbors who are going through their own political upheaval, and also with the whole question of Iran. The question of whether or not Israel will strike Iran is still very much looming over the reputation of this government. Paula Slayer, RT, Tel Aviv.